can't catch me on the run, cause I'm gone, yeah. I blaze trails, set fire to what's behind me. No, I'm never looking back, I'm on the run. I could only ever be what I'm made to be. Feels good when I'm living on the edge. Watch me now, go like thunder, gonna shake the ground. Can't stop me now, I don't give up and I won't back down. I'm a force of nature, can't be contained. I got a lightning running all through my veins. Watch me now, watch me now.
Hi, I'm Wyatt Milam. I'm from Canova, West Virginia. When I'm back home, you'll find me at my local Par-Mar store.
We have that gold and blue pride at your local Par-Mar store. We are coming to your neighborhood soon. West Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Maryland, we have you covered. Download the Par-Mar app and sign up for the Par-Mar Rewards Card. Food, gas, groceries, and more, we are gold and blue proud, and we are Par-Mar stores.
If there's not a Par-Mar store near you now, there will be soon.
Oh, yes. Hello and welcome to the WolfMan's Call. Today, Monday, big Monday, July 31st. You see it right there. Penn State, baby. Happy Valley. Mountaineers are getting ready. 33 days to go, man. Better. No, not that. We're not doing that again. There we go. Check it out right there. Yes, let's take out our WolfMan's Call network Monday through Thursday, 4 o'clock. How about Archies, man? Right there, East Carson Street in Pittsburgh. Yeah, Brickside Bar and Grille down in Bridgeport. Rob Davis, Jimbo's Place. Big news coming up for Jimbo's Place. Got one in Elkins, but the new one starting next Monday. We talk about that a little bit. Jimbo's Place in Buchanan. Woo, it's going to get hot in here. Kegler Sports Bar and Grill in Morgantown. You know we love you there, Jerry Lorenz. Legends, Aaron Gizzy. Yes, on at Lakeview. Hit those links, man. You got Legends, Sports Bar and Grill and Bar there. You got it in Fairmont. You got the Mason Jar, barbecue, and more. Woo! Unbutton those britches with Steve Reese, and also Steve Reese in Morgantown with the Mason Jar Saloon and Hotspot right there in Morgantown as well. And well, don't forget the Tap House there, Mountaineer Tap House with Mel right there. Make sure you take care of her because she's an awesome person. And then you head down to Teays Valley with the Pallet down there. Tip your servers. That's right. Audrey and Haley and Cantrells, the latest one to join. Cantrells River City and Grill and Pub down in Hinton, West Virginia. They just keep rocking it, man. And of course, up there in Weirton, could only be one thing: Route 22. Yeah, sports bar. Awesome. 1250-inch TVs. Watch those games and watch the WolfMan's Call. Oh, it is a big Monday for sure. Starting out over the weekend, something special in my family happened, and I have to get to it right away. And that, of course, is this. Ray Mansfield was inducted to the Steelers Hall of Honor, class of 2023. You're saying Ray Mansfield. Well, he is the grandfather of my children and my father-in-law. And, of course, we want to say huge. He passed away quite a few years ago, 2 decades. And he was there with the Steelers for 13 years, 1 year with the Eagles in the beginning. And he was called the Ranger, turned into the Old Ranger. And I definitely want to show this up here. As you can see that he is just really cool. Let's get this rolling here. Right there, you can see a Hall of Honor, class of 2003 with James Harrison. You got to love that right there. Woo! There you go. Here's the Ranger playing back in the day. Started out number 73, rolled in 56, as everybody knows who he is. Right there. So proud. He was a really wonderful man. I was like, I only knew him for a few years when I first got married, and he had passed away. He went ahead, he passed away doing what he loved to do, and that was hiking in the Grand Canyon. If you ever go to the Grand Canyon, his name is in the book, and for some reason, I just think he would think that would be kind of a neat thing of neat things, not to sound too dire. But Ray Mansfield, the Old Ranger, to the family, to all of them, all my grandchildren, his all of his grandchildren and my nieces and nephews. Congratulations. What an honor for that. And let's go ahead then and jump into this other thing, which is really cool because tomorrow we're going to be having, Bob Lilly. What did you say? You say Bob Lilly. You say Mr. Cowboy himself. Yes, Bob Lilly from way back when. And he was Mr. Cowboy, 95 and a half sacks, Hall of Fame. Well, guess what he's doing? He's going ahead and he's introducing Chuck Howley in the introduction for the NFL Hall of Fame. He's going to be on the show tomorrow, 4 o'clock, baby. That's right. You can see here, you can see Bob right there. He's going to be the presenter. I cannot wait, man. He's unbelievable. You can see right here, Chuck Howley. You see his exhibit for the Hall. This is a big week for West Virginia, the third WVU Mountaineer to be in the NFL Hall of Fame, according to Johnny Antonic. And you see Scott Howley there, his son, watching the bust being done of Chuck. And you see Chuck over there getting his gold jacket. Wow, what a week coming up. Ray Mansfield, Steelers Hall of Fame, and Bob Lilly coming on tomorrow to talk about him presenting Chuck Howley into the NFL Hall of Fame. I'm going to have to ask him because I know Ray and Bob played against each other, especially that 74 Super Bowl between the Cowboys and Steelers. That will be some good conversation for tomorrow. But let's not fear, because this is Monday, and I say big Monday, so it's got to be the Frank Fear Hour and the Fabulous Five panel, which is not quite 5 yet. At the bottom of the hour, Kevin Koken should be dropping in, but let's go ahead and bring him on here. Frank Fear. Frank, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, Wolf. As always, great to see you.
Oh, it's great to see you, man. We're getting ready. We got BYU today, but let's bring in our WVU Hall of Famer for the Hoop Man, and that would be Darryl Prue. DP, what's up?
What's up? What's up, Dale? How you doing, Frank? How y'all doing today?
Doing great.
And last but not least, certainly, we're going to go ahead and we're going to bring on the Hawkeye, Keith Hawkins, as the man about the town. What's up, Keith? How you doing, Hawkeye?
Hey, what's up, guys? Glad to be here today.
Glad. All right, so we got the panel going on. I am absolutely jacked. If you can't tell, you had Ray getting into the Steelers Hall of Fame this past weekend. You got Bob Lilly coming on the show tomorrow for the introduction, talk about his introduction of Chuck Howley going into the NFL Hall of Fame. It's just a lot going on. We got new sponsors coming up. We got new events. We got the WolfMan's Call Network, which is growing and growing. And the show, the numbers are going up, man. So this is all good. We just can't suck, guys. All right, from this point on, don't suck. All right, you hear that, Hawkeye? Because we're no good. You understand? We got to no more. We can't suck. All right. Speaking of that, so Frank Fear, we are not going to fear, but we've been talking about the new Big 12 editions coming on, and I know you got some things going on here with BYU and the sports column. So let me get that up. But go ahead, Frank.
Well, thanks. I'll tell you what, it is a big week. If you're a college football fan, if you're a West Virginia fan, if you're a Big 12 fan, what a week with Colorado coming in. The 4 newbies getting ready to join the league playing football this fall. We've done our tour of the other 3, Central Florida, Houston, and Cincinnati. And today is the 4th. It's BYU. And one of the things I want to say right off the bat is, of the 5 teams that are coming in between this season and next, you have 2 of those teams that have won national football championships. BYU won it in 1984. And Colorado won it in 1990. And so that's an incredible accomplishment, obviously, anytime you win a national championship. But let's talk about BYU. We've got a lot of conference realignment issues to talk about, but let me try to summarize key ideas with respect to BYU. I think, Wolf, you and I have talked about this. This one really was a long time in coming, and I thought, many people thought that BYU would land in a major conference long before this, probably the Pac-12, but it just wasn't to be. So now they're coming into the Big 12, and I think they'll do well. The issue, though, I think for anybody who is, I think most people clearly are familiar with college football. maybe less so with football west of the Midlands, Nebraska, the Dakotas, etc. It's a different world out there. And so BYU has traveled a path that's very similar to Arizona, Arizona State, Utah, Wyoming, a number of those teams out there, except for the teams in the Pac-12. Started as the Pac-8 back in 1959, but now it's the Pac-12. And that is, they've had a tough go in terms of breaking into major college football. I mean, here are some of the conferences that BYU has been in over the years, and Colorado has also been in some of these conferences. The Rocky Mountain Conference, the Mountain States Athletic Conference, the Skyline Conference, then the Western Athletic, we know the WAC, and finally the Mountain West before they went independent actually for a number of years, and now in the Big 12. Here's the deal, and I think it's the bottom line for them. They won a national championship, the Cougars have. They have a rabid fan base, over 60,000 show up for every home game in Provo. So 60% wins over the years. But here's a stat that jumped out at me. Of the 146 all-time losses in BYU's history, 43% have come against what are now Power 5 football teams. So, a lot like some of these other teams that are new to the league, they've done very well against what we now call Group of 5 or other leagues, not so well against Power 5 teams. And so now BYU has got to up its game. But when you think about BYU, other than the national championship, Lavelle Edwards is a name you have to remember. He really built that school. He was at the helm when they won their national championship in '84, and they've had tremendous quarterbacks over the years. Steve Young, I'm looking at the list. Robbie Bosco, Heisman winner Ty Detmer, Jim McMahon, who quarterbacked the Bears when they won the NFL championship. And they have spent over 300 weeks all time in the AP poll with 40 bowl games. So, I mean, this team is something to be reckoned with. The big question this year, I think, is going to be how they're going to do, particularly in terms of shoring up their defense. That's been an issue. But I'll tell you what, with the we all know what the NIL is doing and the transfer portal. They have a quarterback you've never heard of, maybe. His name is Keaton Slovis. Does that name ring a bell? Slovis has been everywhere. USC, he was at Pitt last year against West Virginia. This guy, this will be his last stop.
Sounds like a Darryl Prue kind of guy. That's what it sounds like to me. I'm telling you what. Caden Slovis, my goodness, Frank. All right. Well, let me ask you this before we can move on there. DP, what does BYU bring for basketball into the Big 12?
Ooh, maybe a victory or two.
For who? Them or us?
For us.
Okay.
I don't, it's hard to get players there. They get a lot of older players. They get a lot of 25, 26-year-olds. So they're not going to be an easy victory, but you won't get some of the elite athletes going there. But they've been solid over the years. Every now and then they have good teams. So they have a good player that's like 26 years old, come back and play for them. That's really good and do damage. So,
that's what it's been with BYU forever, though. We all know.
Yeah.
They go on their missions, and they go away as young men, and they come back as men with beards. What they're doing.
Beards and married.
Yeah, beards and married. They're fighting for something. He's got kids as well, so they're playing hard for their family. All right, Hawkeye, what do you think about this? What Frank just said. Give us your. I am Mountaineer Nation. This is my viewpoint because you're usually sharp. That's why I call you Hawkeye.
I think the addition of BYU is great. Solid football program. They've got a lot of names to tag to their football team. There's been some great players that's went through that program. They're always competitive. We played them a few years ago, and they hung with us. I think it's a win-win bringing BYU in.
Okay, for the Cougars. All right, Frank. So now you got a win-win here by DP saying we might get a win in basketball, and you got Hawkeye saying it's a win-win for the league and the team coming in. I think it is because I always thought BYU was a Power 5 team, regardless, even though it was an independent. And so continue on.
Well, I think they're going to go in football this year. They're going to go, I think, as far as Slovis can take them. I mean, he has 10,000 passing yards, 66% completion rate, and all the stops he's made, USC, Pitt, only 33 interceptions over 3 years. So he's the guy. He's got some good receivers. Defense is shaky. This probably is not going to be a BYU vintage year. And so I think what they've got to do is to prove, hey, we belong in the Big 12, and they've got to be competitive. Their coach, Kehlani Sitake, I think is on the hot seat. I think he's going to have to show that he can win. And if you could bring up the other slide that you have there, Dale.
You're gonna make me work, are you?
Yeah. And what I wanted to do now is just to show you what the pundits are thinking in terms when they're crunching the numbers. There it is, where BYU, Cincinnati, Houston, and Central Florida might end up. So this comes from ESPN, their football power index. And basically the way that works is that it's designed really to say how far away from an average team using 20,000 simulations would be each football team in major college football. And then what they do is they calculate a win-loss projection, and they keep on running this through the season. You can see this year, this is for the 2023 season, all Big 12 teams with the new teams oversized type. Texas, Oklahoma, they're at the top. They're going to be gone soon, but they're projecting for both teams 10-3, 10-3. And there you go. The only one of the four that is near the top is Central Florida. They're projected at 8-4. BYU is at the bottom of the four with Houston to have a losing season and Cincinnati to essentially split. Now, as for West Virginia, using the same ESPN source, West Virginia is favored, at least at this point, to beat BYU. The Cincinnati game is even Steven. Houston is close to being 50-50, but ESPN is projecting an 80% chance of a UCF win when we play down there. Last week, I said to Al, I thought Cincinnati would have the best season, and I'm still a little bit concerned about the incoming coach Satterfield about that. We'll have to see. But right now, on paper, USC is considered to be the tops of the new four.
Well, I'm going to tell you all something right now, and I want you to remember this, okay? And don't if I'm wrong, all right? But if I'm right, make sure you mark this down. I'm telling you right now, do not sell Dana Holgorsen short coming into the Big 12, knowing the Big 12, and what he does on offense, and Doug Belk being there as a defensive coordinator. I know that they struggled last year, but they've also had some decent years. I have a feeling with Dana Holgorsen, he's got something planned. I know this man. So wait and see. You can say he's going to be 5-7, be at the bottom. But I'd like to just say is that wait and see, because I would not be shocked if they were way above everybody else what they thought. I'm not saying they're going to compete. I'm not going to say any of that. I'm going to say that they're going to do better than what they're projected at with the 5-7. And remember that. Unless I'm wrong, then forget about it. But anyways, I know people won't forget it. But I do want to say this. You see this here. Get your QR code. The sports column. That's Frank's column there. All you got to do is if you're a writer, if you want to write about anything, you go ahead and you send it into the sports column. They usually publish everybody. It's free. Go ahead and get it published, unless it sucks, which we don't do here. So again, all right, that's what happens. Am I right, Frank, or am I not?
Hey, Frank, I appreciate the plug. Thank you.
Yeah, you got it, man. All right, so what else you want to talk about BYU? Anything else you want to say about it?
The only other thing I wanted to bring up, and it came up in a conversation with a fan a couple of weeks ago, is that I looked at the Big 12 schedule, and I was surprised with respect to how things are set up for the 4 new teams. This is the way it works out. There are 10 teams in the Big 12 outside of the 4 new ones, right?
Yeah.
Well, of those 10 teams, 4 of those teams will play 2 of the newcomers. 4 teams will play 3 of the newcomers. That's 8. 2 teams will play all 4 newcomers. West Virginia is 1. 2 games on the road, 2 games at home. Oklahoma State is the other one. But guess what? Oklahoma State gets 3 of those 4 teams at home. They only have to go to Orlando for an away game. And so I think Oklahoma really has an advantage playing all 4 teams, but 3 of those at home. I don't know what formula brought that out, but I thought that was curious. So I think serve goes to Oklahoma in terms of head-to-head plays. Hey, you've got the newest commit there.
I do. I am, because you said you wanted to compare the recruiting of WVU and the newbies.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's I thought I wrote down his name. He just signed. I can't find his name on my notes. That's an oversight on my part. But he's a linebacker, and he's from West Virginia. Now, but he's unrated. He doesn't have any stars yet. We'll have to see how he does this year, and stars will come from there. But West Virginia, I think, is still doing, from my perspective at least, see what the guys think, are doing well in recruiting for next year. A month ago, West Virginia was 29th in the country and 2nd in the Big 12. Now, WVU today is 40th in the country, so dropped a bit, and we're 4th in the Big 12. Okay. But the top 2 are OU and Texas. So the only school that has a better recruiting year so far is Texas Tech.
All right, let me stop you. His name's Curtis Jones, the in-state.
Thank you. Yes, thank you very much.
And so Hawkeye, let's start out with you now. We'll talk about this recruiting. And the problem has a problem. If you looked at the recruiting for the past, I'd say, 4 years. Let's just go by Neil Brown's time here, his 10 years career at WVU. He's been in the top 35 every year, is he not?
Yeah, the guy can recruit. There's no doubt about that. Retainment's a problem. Development's another. But the guy can recruit like hell. He goes out here and gets some good players. You get no argument from me on that. But keeping them and develop them, that's the problem.
Well, there's no doubt.
And he recruits the state of West Virginia. So I tip my hat to him. We've got some ball players here.
Well, you wouldn't know. You're an official for 20 years plus officiating, and you see how those guys go by. That's why I like you, Hawkeye, because you know when there's 1 foot or 2 feet in bounds or out of bounds. That's right. Why I got you out there. Call you Hawkeye. All right, so DP, what do you think, man? The recruiting, he's been top 35 every season. Right now, he's 4th in the Big 12. You take OU, Texas, throw them out. Now you're top 2 you're talking about. Again, it's still fairly early, but, with the early signing day in December, as Frank was talking about, I mean, time's moving on here now for 2024.
Yeah, I think, Ben, all that stuff on paper doesn't matter. You said it before. That's when you get on the field, and Keith just said it now about, the development and keeping guys, you know what I mean? What's going on with that? Is development good? You watch games, we hang around for a little bit, then I don't know, we're conditioning and we're not strong enough, and we just fall until, at the tail end. It's the numbers of recruiting and stuff like that is all good, for the fans. Yeah, we did this. We're number 2. We're top 4 in the conference, but we're last in the conference coming into the season. They don't add up to me. You know what I mean? It just don't add up. I don't know what math was. Was geometry.
That's a good point. That's a good point, though.
Yeah,
that is really good
add up to me. This is his 5th year. With football, I know it takes time. It takes 3 to 4 years to build your program, and this is the 5th year, right? Am I wrong?
Right. Yep.
Right? This is the year he got to do something. In his 5th year, he's last. You know what I mean?
Well, wait a minute. That's
going into the season. Just going into the season.
All right, going into the season.
You know what I mean? So, it's all that stuff sounds good, but like you said, Dale, you even question some of the guys' heart. When you watch some of the football the last couple of years, and and you can't teach that. So there's something on in that building that we don't know about.
And Frank, I'm going to come back to you in a second. But the one thing is, when I look at this, when you say it doesn't add up, no, it doesn't add up because it goes back to what Hawkeye said. It's about retention and it's about development. And that has been the problem. I think Neil will be the first one to tell you that. I don't think he's been happy about some of the players that have left, although I will say I do think there have been unwanted influences. NIL is certainly one that has hurt WVU in the past of money. There's absolutely no doubt. I could go down the line and tell you verbatim for sure which ones they were. I could tell you, the recruiting part is not a problem on this high school. Okay, a couple things before I don't want to go down a couple of these. Yeah, what's up?
So even with that, nowadays with the portal and with the NIL, you got to have your board. You know what I mean? Like we had a board when we recruited of guys every year. We had a list of 15 guys from every year in positions and stuff like that. So then if you lose a guy, then you might have to go after another guy. So now, you got coaches looking into the portal. So now you got to look into the portal, just not just high school, and see, okay, if I lose this guy, I got to find a quality guy to bring in. And that's where, I guess all these recruiting coaches coming in now, and that's their job of doing is trying to go after these guys and keep these guys lukewarm until something happens. Or keeping your ear to the ground. Because, I'm sure there's rumors about guys leaving. Oh, I'm sure somebody's offering more money. So, so they got this about communication with these guys and relationships also.
Yeah. And let's say the other thing, too, about going back to the 14th rated team. There's a lot of guys that are improving on this team that haven't had a lot of playing time. You can look at a wide receiver core that is unproven. You can look at the quarterback situation. That, like I went over Garrett Green, Nico Marchio last week. I'm going to say people are like, well, if you seem like, you're playing favorites. I'm not playing favorites when I break it down. I tell you exactly, because I always tell you the truth. So I say exactly what I'm seeing. I'm saying I know what Garrett Green has. He's 5'10 and a half, okay, as a quarterback out there. I know he's got a one-trick pony. I know he's got the slant and he's got one mark. And I know that he can run the ball. And he's really good at what he does. But these teams catch on to one-track pony. You know what I mean? That's what you have. One trick, I should say, not one track. But if you've got a guy like Nico Marchio, who's just a freshman, but now you're saying, oh, this is a 4-star guy. I think people forget that when he stepped in against Oklahoma State and what I showed, he did some pretty remarkable things as a true freshman against a team that hasn't lost in 4 straight home games. And even though they went out and played like crud that day, Oklahoma State did not want to be there. There's no doubt. Spencer Sanders was not even there. Rangel, the quarterback. Holy cow, I hope he's the quarterback in the future for Oklahoma State because we'll win every year, okay? Because that dude just had a horrible game. But if you go ahead and you look at it, that team really fought hard. It fought West Virginia, I'm talking about, for a team that was 3-6 in the Big 12, 4-7 going into it. Neil Brown still had their ear. And that means a lot to me as a former coach, that a team's still playing hard for the coach when you're 3-6 Big 12, when you're 4-7. So there's a lot to be said about that for being in last place. Retention and development has been his biggest nemesis for building this football team. And I don't think there's anyone can deny that. Frank, what do you say on that one?
You're absolutely right. No, I mean, you guys have nailed it. The other thing that doesn't add up is that WVU has 4 players on the preseason All Big 12 team, 3 on offense, all linemen, and then 1 on defense. And, 4 out of 22 players, and still preseason ranked by the media as last. So maybe it's because they're not skill players, and the skill players
that's exactly what it is, Frank. You have 3 offensive linemen, which is good, but at the same time, I saw 4 or 3 third or 4 third and short or 4th and short get stopped against Oklahoma State. They got stopped. I showed that. And it was 3rd and 1. And again, you're going with that stupid shotgun. And you got 6 inches to go, but let's go 5 yards back and give the defense time to penetrate against an Oklahoma State. That's all they do is penetrate. Penetrate or what, Hawkeye? What do? They penetrated or they gave up what?
Yeah.
5 or more yards.
Yes.
5 or more yards. Okay? I proved that out to be as well. So, again, is the important thing is to remember about this team is that they're young. Okay? They're young. So that goes with them good, and it goes with them bad because they don't have the experience. But they're young, the fact that they haven't been rated yet. So I think a lot of that is reason why they are at the bottom of the Big 12. Go ahead, man.
So I have a question. I have a question. You have a 4-star quarterback, and he's not starting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we don't know that now. We got to go through camp.
Okay.
But you saw, did you see my breakdowns last week or no?
I'm sorry, I didn't see
Yeah,
it.
there you go. There's a loyal guy right there. Not one.
I was on vacation, homeboy.
Yeah. Yes, you know what? You got lucky on that one.
I was on vacation. I would have saw it, but you got a guy that's supposed to be one of the top players coming in because the next star is 5. That's an elite. So if you got a 4-star guy, that's close. So evidently he has a lot of potential. And that goes back to what Keith said, the development. There shouldn't be no question. He's been developing for a year. There should be no question. You know what I mean? I know you want to keep the competition open, but a 4-star guy, you know what I mean? Like, all right, play around, then what's going to happen? He's going to enter the transfer portal.
Hey, Coke, are you there? Kevin? Let us down in. Oh, no, Coke, I don't see it, buddy. Might want to come back on again. Okay. There it goes. All right, so listen. Let's continue this. Let's start out with this. I got to get a commercial in. Let's go 30 seconds. Let's come back, and we'll go ahead. We'll get Abby Pearson in here, our gymnast here, because we are NIL. We're Parmar stores, and we go for everybody. So here we go. Go Parmar. Go Abby. Right to WVU.
Hi, I'm Abby Pearson from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and when I'm back home, you will find me at my local Parmar store.
We had that gold and blue pride at your local Parmar store. We are coming to your neighborhood soon. West Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Maryland, we have you covered. Download the Parmar app and sign up for the Parmar Rewards Card. Food, gas, groceries, and more, we are gold and blue proud, and we are Parmar stores.
If there's not a Parmar store near you now, there will be soon.
All right, very good, Abby. Thank you so much. Parmar stores. If there's not a Parmar store near you now, there will be one soon. So, DP, we got to go ahead and we got to talk about this James Dickey, right? He's a senior advisor for WVU basketball, and I want to know, is this a good call? Because this is what I was crying about. And I think we got Coke now. Coke, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. Hey, everybody, this is Kevin Koken. This is our team captain, 1988. Saturday, he was there. We played in the national championship game. He's a dude. He looks like he was our quarterback, but he really was the offensive center. He's lost 150 pounds. And Kevin Koken, one of great captains of all time of WVU football. Coke, welcome. We're just getting to James Dickey here, DP, talking about senior advisor for WVU basketball. We said, hey, man, if you're not going to have Ronnie Everhart there, and you got Josh, who's got 2.5 years of coaching. You have Day, who's got 2 years. You have Ruoff, who's got a year. Who's our other guys? I'm drawing a blank here.
McCabe.
Yeah, McCabe, who's got no coaching. So all these coaches together have about 10 years of coaching, but you go ahead and now you bring in James Dickey, senior advisor. Go ahead.
I mean, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like you got Everhart there. I don't understand why we're doing this. You got so many people from so many different places, and I just don't know how the stability is going to be in the next few months. You know what I mean? Like, who's going to listen to who's got what, what is a senior advisor? I don't understand what a senior advisor is. I've never been a part of that before. That's why you have.
Well, you've had a mentor before. I mean, you coached. Yeah, you have the dude.
Yeah, but you don't hire somebody else outside to come in to be that guy. You know what I mean? Like, so now you got all these dudes. I don't know what everybody else's role is, so are you going to listen to the advisor, or are you going to listen to your 1, 2, 3 assistant? So it's like, or you're going to listen to all of them. I was fortunate to be in a situation where I had one guy listen to everybody and one guy listen to 1 or 2 people. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Okay.
So it's like, they get real funny, the coaches do, about who they listen to. You know what I mean? Because some coaches are not on the same page as the head coach as far as looking at the game. And some people once they start winning, they have the arrogance of knowing everything.
Okay, I got you. All right, Coach, we're going to throw you in right under in fire, baby. Is this good? James Dickey, senior advisor for WVU basketball. Is this a good thing?
Boy, you're leaning into the wrong guy on this.
I know, that's why I brought you in.
I'm going to say I agree with Darryl. No, he was always right when we were there, so he must be always right still to this day. It's interesting, and really, when you think of that role, advisor, it's so kind of broad based, right? Is he going to advise the coaches? Is he going to be advising the players only? Is he going to be taking all of the information that he gathers and advising someone else? I think it can be a very valuable role if used the right way. So he's got all kinds of basketball experience, all kinds of background, but it's really what does coach want to use him for and how, and then really setting up those parameters, right? Because somebody comes in an advisor, they can start advising a whole bunch of things on their thoughts and their opinions that are directly different from what the coaching philosophy is, or maybe out of scope with what the player's capabilities are, right? So like, hey, go play like a big man. Well, I don't know how to play like a big man. Well, I'm going to advise you how to do that. So you really got to take it into context. And I think it's going to be up to coach to say, here's what I'm looking at for your skill set. Here's how I want you to advise. Here's how I want to keep me informed on what you're working on so that we can stay in lockstep. Because if they get out of step at all, advisor really becomes a disruptor when it comes to the team going forward and moving ahead.
Very good. So, Frank, who's the boss?
Well, the conventional model is pretty widely used. Take University of Michigan, for example. When Juwan Howard came back to coach the team, he was with the Heat, but that's NBA experience. So they brought in Phil Martelli, who had been coach at St. Joe's for I don't know how many years, probably 3 decades. Went to the Final Four, I think, in 2006. Had a really good team, but they named him associate head coach. So they brought in a senior person, but now this is the number 2 guy on the coaching staff. So we just have to hope, because I don't know, we have to hope that this position is defined, everybody understands what the definition is, and then follows suit. But I really like what both Darryl and Coke have said, in the sense, if you don't have that, you got all these moving parts with new players. This is probably 75%, at least 2/3 new team. So they got to learn how to play together. So you don't want to add any more uncertainty or any more question marks or any more variables. So I'm a little bit surprised they didn't bring in an associate head coach, but we all know there are uber politics in the basketball program right now, given how Huggins exited. And so we just have to hope, fingers crossed, that they can get on the same page and they know what these roles are.
Okay. DP, go ahead, and I'm going to go to Hawkeye. Go ahead.
I got a story. So when I left college, I got released. I went to the CBA. So I was in the CBA. Bill Musselman was his first year coaching. The one that's coaching at Arkansas now. He was like 24 years old. And Flip Saunders was there, and he had more experience. Eventually, Flip Saunders started taking over the practices because of his, he had the experience. I guess he saw what was lacking or whatever in what areas. Then all of a sudden, Flip Saunders didn't show up no more. You know what I mean? And he's in the NBA. So, it's like, it might become a power struggle. I hope it doesn't. But like sometimes guys just can't sit back. I see the guy's 69 years old, so he has a wealth of experience. So does all that experience just push him to the forefront all of a sudden because he sees something that's lacking?
Okay. Hawkeye, so here you go. Politics, what Frank just said, all the good stuff that Coke and DP just said. Bottom line is you kicked Reddy Everhart to the curb. okay, is you got a guy that's Fairmont, okay, local, loved, a legend that's 20 miles away out of Fairmont, and now you want to bring in this senior dude. And I think that, you can sort of call it politics. I call it crap. Okay, that's what I call it, because it's the Wolfman's call, and it's true. Roddy Everhart is a friend of mine. I call it crap. You're going to go ahead and bring in a senior advisor. I'm going to tell you this right now. Roddy Everhart can outcoach many, many people, and regardless of what anybody says, as you go ahead and do that, I know this. I know that the 3 people that Josh was coaching, as soon as he got the job, they left. The 3 bigs he was coaching, they left. Okay? That doesn't give me a whole lot of, this guy's got 2.5 years of coaching experience. Sure, he was the ops guy. Sure, he was the video guy. But how many times has he called a timeout in a crucial situation? Down by 1 to Baylor. Down by 1 to KU. This is big-time basketball, and you just went ahead. You added Houston to the mix. Okay, so again, the league's getting better, even though BYU, Darryl doesn't think much of. A win for WVU. Well, go ahead. I know it was a really long for you, but I'm calling it out.
Well, they hired Josh. He's going to be the head coach. We get Ronnie. He's probably guilty by association, since we're talking politics. So guilty by association for Ronnie. Who decided that all of a sudden we need an advisor? Whatever this guy's role is. Obviously, we've got a super young staff. They don't have enough experience to fill the water bottles right now when it comes to coaching. But we gave these guys, they've got the jobs. Now we bring this senior advisor in who's is he going to step on toes? What's his role? How long is Josh going to tolerate it? All I see now is just more confusion.
Now, I'm going to say this, and I agree with you, Hawkeye, is if you can get them on the same page, like Coke was saying, if you can get them on the same page, it can be a good thing to have that wisdom. That's all I wanted with Ronnie, to be quite honest with you. I wanted him there so that Josh could look over and Ronnie could give him a wink and say, it's good time for timeout. You know what I mean? Something like that in a crucial situation, to look over at a dude that's been there, been under that fire. Remember, he spent half his career as a head coach and also the assistant in a Division I Power 5. So, again, I'm going to leave it at that for me. Coke, finish it up real quickly. Anything else you want to put on to that? Any icing?
I'm just glad I'm clear where you're at, Dale. It took you too long to get there, to really just lay it all out there. Crystal clear.
Hey, man, we call it the Wolfman's call for a reason, man. It's because what I see. All right, and that's the way. Frank, you got anything you want to add out of that?
No, I think you got it. And the proof is going to be in the pudding. Darryl said it before.
I'm not saying
we're going to see what we're going to see. And then I think we'll know pretty clearly.
Okay, and let me add one more thing, Darryl, before I go to you. I love Deshaun. I love Deshaun. I love Alex Rule. I love these guys, okay? What I'm saying is there's got to be some grown up in the room, and apparently his name is James Dickey. Okay, so that's the new guy grown up in the room. DP, finish it up.
We got another Dickey on a podcast, huh? They must have didn't see the podcast when we played Kansas. I just think it's everything is in turmoil. It's nothing clean. The players, the coaching staff now. You know what I mean? Like you should have hired. I'm not saying you shouldn't have.
Are you sure about that, DP? Are you sure they're in turmoil?
I mean,
they all look like they're smiling. They all look like they're smiling and whistling Dixie, man. That's what I like.
I mean, like it's a 1-year gig. You know what I mean? Like you got a 1-year gig at 1.2. I'd be smiling too right now. You know what I mean? So if he does well, he'll get another year. But it's it's just everything is being pieced together. The coaching staff, the players. You know what I mean? They got 10 players now. They need 12 to 14 more, 2 more. 2 to 4 more. So you know what I mean? How good are the players? A lot of the players are coming from situations they're averaging 2 points a game. Played 16 games, you know what I mean? So in the Big 12. in which a lot of future NBA players are going to be playing. And so, it's just to me, it's just a lot of chaos that's going on. Why not hire this guy earlier? Why not hire somebody? If you're not going to hire Ronnie Everhart, you hire a guy early. So you hire all the West Virginia guys. I get it, to quiet the fan base. Now the fan base got quiet about the staff. They didn't say anything about the staff coach. You bring.
Oh, are these guys going to be media darlings?
I mean,
think about it. I mean, you got Ruoff there, a good, young, lovable dude who's amazing.
I was with him when we did the alumni game, and I was very impressed about his basketball IQ. It's off the charts. That's the guy. If you're a basketball guy, that's the guy you want on your staff close to you. All right, he sees a lot of things, and that's the guy you want talking to your kids about basketball. Because
with this fan base, when the wheels come off the bus and we start losing, what's the first thing they're going to holler? These guys have no experience. They have no business being out there coaching these guys.
But we wind back to January. They lost almost six in a row. We were saying the same thing about Hugs.
That's right. Well, they said the game had passed him by.
I don't think the game passed him by. Things happen, and I don't think the transfers they had coming this year are way better than the transfers they had coming in last year. Except for Trey Mitchell. Trey Mitchell was the best player they had. You know what I mean? So if you would have kept Trey Mitchell with the Jesse Edwards and the kid from North Carolina State, I think this team had a good chance. And the kid from Arizona, Christie. So I think that you look good, but again, then you lose Mitchell, and it's chaos because who's your go-to guy?
Very good. We got to let this one go, but James Dickey's the grown-up in the room. That's my final word for the day. He's the final grown-up. But again, hey, big news over the weekend. Look what we got. Look at that good-looking guy in a cowboy hat. I mean, my goodness. If you're looking for a guy to come in and join a league, and you want flash, and you want prime, you got nothing else better than you got prime time coming in. The greatest hire Colorado ever did. The greatest. I don't care. He's bigger than Bill McCartney winning the national championship in 1990. He's bigger than that. No, I'm kidding. But listen, Deion Sanders, I am very happy about this. Coke, I will come to you first and talk about this. What's your viewpoint? Seeing the Big 12 expanding out. I like him being proactive. You see what happens in the Pac-12 when you're reactive. And, we're going to talk about the Big 10 here shortly. But what's your thoughts just on Colorado coming in?
Sure. Well, if you were to stick with Coach first, there is a little bit of an edge, Dale. There was one or two quotes that he said during the 88 season and his feelings about WVU, which means me and you specifically on that football team. So an elephant never forgets, and neither does an offensive lineman. That said, the swagger that he's bringing to Colorado, I think, is great. And if that translates to their team, that really translates to the conference, I think it's a huge win. The huge downside, of course, is it's another away game that's even further away than many away games. But also, I think it brings excitement to the Big 12, and it's about being proactive. It's about kind of leaving a marker. When we think of the conferences in another year or two or three, what it's really going to look like, there's only going to be a few left standing. And the Big 12 is right now battling to be in position with those two or three other conferences. So all up, I like it. Colorado's an awesome place to play at. And I think bringing their fan base over to this side when they come play us at home is going to be pretty exciting also. In all sports, by the way, not just, honing in on the football part, but in all parts of the Big 12. I think it's a win for the entire conference, and I think it's to paraphrase, I think it might be a W for us, but we'll see how that plays out.
All right, very good. So Frank, let's just say this. We talk about travel. How about Rutgers USC? How about Rutgers UCLA? I mean, is that going to be any better for the Big Ten than anywhere? Can we just say, forget about the student athlete anymore? Forget about it, because the student athlete is gone. It's about the money. It's about the conference. Student athletes will have to go from online classes and just do from the road. I don't know. I mean, at least for basketball, right? maybe
Yeah.
2 times a week.
No.
Go ahead.
You're absolutely correct, and I think Coke nailed it. This is what they call an existential crisis. Some of these conferences aren't going to exist. Yeah, I mean, the Pac-12, if the rumor, and we'll talk about the Arizona rumor in a minute, if that's true, and another team leaves the Pac-12, they're in trouble. Now, I do numbers all the time, so I looked at numbers. ESPN Power Rankings, with all the swagger, they have Colorado projected this year dead last in major conferences with a 3-9 record. You can look it up. And Rivals has Colorado ranked 61st in recruiting for 2024. Now, again, like we said before, sometimes things just don't add up. He's got a lot of swagger, and it's the first year, so give him a break. But that 61st ranking in recruiting is a little bit troubling. I would have expected him to do much better because he's been there for a while. But we'll just have to see again. We're going to have to see what the real world's going to bring.
Now, Keith, you know that prime time is prime, and he's going to be ready to roll. And he revamped the whole team. I think it was like 85%.
Yeah, he run off everybody.
He ran off everybody, but he brought in everybody too, especially like Taj Alston from WVU. So he took a Taj Alston, a good player that's in his 6th year. I think he's got some older guys there. Frank is right. They're 61st in the recruiting. But, I'm going to still say it again. Recruiting on paper still isn't a big deal to me as much. When you look at Neil Brown and his top 35 in 4 years and, all that stuff. Things change is what I'm trying to say. Things change. So I'm not sold on just recruiting. But, I mean, is Dion going to be a year-to-year transfer portal guy? Like, who cares about 61st in recruiting? I may not ever bring a freshman in again. I mean, if I'm going to just do this and I'm just recruiting, I mean, who knows if he's just going to recruit sophomores, juniors, and seniors. Go ahead, Hawkeye.
Well, first of all, with Colorado and Dion coming into the conference, right now it's going to be a big splash. It's big news. There's a lot of people out there rooting against Prime, though. So if he doesn't produce in a couple of years, it has an adverse effect on the conference itself.
Yeah, but we're not there yet.
No, we're not there yet.
Can't go there.
Back to what you were saying about recruiting. And I think Coke here may have some feelings on this. The recruiting part, are we even really recruiting high school players anymore like we used to? Or is it we're just going to replace from the portal? Let's get a guy that's
Neil Brown is recruiting high school. I'm telling you that right now. I'm not sure about primetime.
Okay, I'm just saying it seems like everybody wants the first fix is the portal. Let's get a guy that's got some experience. Look what Neil's doing. And he's not even bringing in Power 5 guys. It's G5 guys. Oh, this guy's played 20 games. Yeah, but he's played in G5 football. Can he hold up to a 13-game schedule against quality opponents? Can they do it?
Coke, that's like saying is the first time that you had to go against them. Who was that nose guard in Miami?
Hey, look, I made Jerome Brown consensus All-Pro. I took him to the whole new level.
You were just a young pup, but you had to go against Jerome Brown the first time in Miami, and it wasn't a great day for your golden blue ass. That's what it wasn't a great day. You've had much, much better days, and you went and you were an All-American, but not that day as a youngster.
No, not at all. That's the problem. I guess Dion will wait and see what his advisor tells him, right, Darryl? So that is this huge problem that we've created with the transfer portal. And even when you recruit those kids, whether it's a top tier or a tweener that you get out of high school, the problem is in a year or two you're going to invest in them and they're going to jump portal. They're going loyalty and commitment. It's gone. It's gone, and that's
you might have new rules, though, Coke. This legislation coming in. Yeah, we have new rules.
Totally. I mean, it's the game we're playing right now.
That's AAU basketball at the football level.
Okay, so Darryl, let me jump in. just like I asked you about BYU, what does Colorado basketball do for the Big 12?
Colorado has some good teams over the years. I just think, especially with Prime with the football, he brings the media. He brings a media contract. You see what he did at Jackson State. They were on TV. Now they're on TV. You know what I mean? So he attracts the media, and I think that's good for the program. I mean, for the Big 12 period, because it brings in a lot of money. I was told by a Nike guy. He used to work with Nike, and he worked with the schools, and he started working with the colleges and Nike colleges. They almost canceled Nike's contract with West Virginia, and Hugs told him, he got a whole state buying Nike stuff, buying West Virginia stuff. So they end up keeping them. So he told me it's going to be a power, like you said, Power 5, and that's all Nike was going to deal with. It was the schools and those Power 5. They're going to cut everybody else off. You know what I mean? They're going to have to buy the product. So it's just, you got to keep teams coming in and got to be good quality teams. I think Colorado is going to be one of those quality teams. I think BYU is going to hold their own. I think we headed in the right direction. And in basketball, I think in basketball, most teams are equal now. You know what I mean? Nobody is separating themselves from the other. I think basketball is kind of like, the talent has spread it out, and everybody's kind of even.
All right. So let's keep it moving on. Frank, let's go right to it, man. Arizona, good for the Pac-12. Is it going to happen? Talk about your rumors there and your rumors with FSU, Clemson, Oregon, Washington to the Big Ten. What's up?
Yeah, it's amazing, actually. When you wake up in the morning, the first thing you have to do is check the web, check social media to see what's happening. This, as you and I were talking earlier today, there's an earthquake out there, and it may be erupting. The first, and one of the things I would say right at the start, and Wolf and I talked about this before the show, I wouldn't say these are widely substantiated or even maybe generally substantiated rumors.
Can we have fun? Just have fun with it.
Yeah, that's right. Greg Swain, SWAIM. I do not know him. He has a podcast, is predicting, and it's being picked up by news outlets, that by Tuesday, close of business, University of Arizona will sign on to the Big 12. Now, that story is being picked up, but he is either the primary or the exclusive source. Now, as Wolf and I were talking about too, the thing about those two schools, meaning Colorado and Arizona, they're tremendous academic schools. They're both state flagship universities, so they're really compatible with the original Big 12. But whether it's going to happen, that's not the one that's going to knock the top off the Power 5. The rumor is, and I read it on Athlon, which is a very reputable source. Barstool Sports is closer to the story, is that by Wednesday close of business, two schools from the Southeastern Conference, FSU and Clemson, and two teams from the
ACC.
Pardon?
From the ACC.
ACC, excuse me. I'm sorry. FSU and Clemson, and then two teams from the Pac-12, Oregon and Washington, are going to sign on to the Big Ten. Now, if that happens, you have to ask the question, how possibly can the Pac-12, it won't be the Pac-12, because a number of schools will have vacated 5 schools. Then the question is, even if they add schools, who do they add? SMU, San Diego State, without a renewal of their media. It's interesting because I'm less convinced that the Arizona rumor is true, more convinced because of the source that there may be some validity in the Big Ten rumor, but there's no question. Arizona coming to the Big 12 is big, but it's not a paradigm shifter. A paradigm changer is if those schools go to the Big Ten.
Okay, good word, paradigm. Even I understood that. All right, very good. So we'll go with that. DP, Arizona, man, we got to go to basketball first. What do you think?
Yeah, I think basketball is it'll be tough because they're a really good team every year. Football. I just saw somebody in the comment section saying they don't have many fans for football, but they're a basketball powerhouse. Every year for the last 30 years, they always, in the top 25. So, for basketball, you'll keep the basketball going. So the football, I don't know. Every once in a while,
legit. They got if they win, they're legit. If they win,
yeah.
Right.
Every once in a while they do. They do really good. But again, another quality team. It's not a bad team. I think it's a quality team that's coming into the program. Well, a quality school is coming into the conference. So I don't think it's a bad quality by bringing the Arizona in.
Coke, let's talk about it, man. We just talked about 2 rumors of 5 schools. And if this happens, you got to wonder if the ACC is even going to be able to stand.
Yeah, it's really hard to say. There's so much confusion that people are going to be like the rats trying to escape the sinking ship. And where do I go? How can I latch on? And what am I going to do? Those 2 schools leave the ACC. I think they're in big trouble when they think about where they are right now and where they'll be in 2 years. And it ain't going to be anywhere. Real good English there. Sorry about that, guys. I let you down on my education.
It's been a few years since you graduated, since you had English too.
It just flowed well. Emphasis.
Hey, Coke, I love your paradigm.
I got a pair of dimes. That and the nickel don't get me anything anymore.
Yeah.
All right. Well, cool. So, all right. So you think ACC could be in trouble? Frank, if you say that you're convinced more about the Big Ten rumor than I think the Big 12 rumor with Arizona has to happen, I think that's going to be a no-brainer. And
Wolf, it's being reported as a done deal.
I don't blame
the language. Done deal. Arizona's coming.
If I am the Big 12, we talked a lot Friday night, the other show, we talked about possibly waiting and seeing what comes open. Arizona, you take it right now. Big Ten, if they take those 4 teams, that puts them at 20. When you talk about Texas, Oklahoma leaving, you talk about Colorado coming on, that's 13. Arizona, that's a given. You don't want to give up at Arizona. I don't care. Don't tell me about football. Football's okay when they win. They're okay. Sure, any team that's not winning that is poor in attendance, but there's still I took a recruiting trip out there. One of my 5 trips was to Arizona because from Buffalo, New York, I always wanted to see what the desert looked like.
I wouldn't mind going to Arizona in January or December.
Well, you know what? That wouldn't suck either, right? I mean, not bad. So you think about it. So if Arizona's open, I don't think the Big 12 thinks about it. You take them. I think you got to think about the other schools, but not U of A. Hawkeye, I'll go to you. I haven't talked to you on that one. Go ahead.
All right. So we're having fun with this. If you think about it, if Florida State, Clemson, Oregon, and Washington jump to the Big Ten, Arizona comes to the Big 12. Does this not play out to what everything that we've heard that they want to get it down to the Big 3? And the Big 12 would be in a perfect position to be that third power. Now we're just having fun here. We're just speculating, but it puts the Big 12 in the perfect spot right now.
Well, that's why I say WVU stability, Big 12, don't even mess with it. We've had too much instability for the last 10 years of trying to increase facilities, everything they've been doing, and not winning at the same time. People don't like non-winners. Colorado's an extremely strange story because of prime time. Okay, 1-11 Colorado without prime time. Not so sure the Big 12 jumps at Colorado right off the bat. I really don't. That's why I think it's the greatest hire Colorado ever made, because I think that prime time and what he brings really brought it to the conference. And I think this Yormack dude is looking for that type of enthusiasm, that type of attention for the Big 12. I really believe what prime time does, what Yormack, the Big 12 commission wants, goes hand in hand. Would you agree, Coke?
Absolutely.
All right. Absolutely. So I'm right on track with that one. So that's good news.
Well, and don't underestimate the importance of the Denver market and also the Phoenix area market, even though Arizona State's in Phoenix. But you've got eyeballs, and we all know what's driving this. Media money is driving this. If you don't have all this media money in certain conferences and not as much in others, schools aren't moving around. I mean, Colorado is coming for the cash. Arizona will come for the cash. And Florida State has made it very clear they're unhappy with the deal with the ACC.
Exactly. But what I would be too, I mean, they just spent $200 million on the facilities. and you're getting 28 million, 26, whatever it is, way short of the other Power Fives. I would too, especially with Big Ten money that could be there. But what I'm saying is, when you look at this, and I say the TV money. I know if I'm in New York City, Manhattan, and Notre Dame is on, or USC or UCLA or some SEC schools on, no one gives a crap about Rutgers. Okay, Rutgers being on Rutgers because of the New York media. And I'm telling you, if I'm in downtown Manhattan, I'm watching Auburn, Alabama. I'm watching something good in the SEC because no one's watching Rutgers. Okay, in the Big Ten. But now you got LA, UCSC, UCLA. But if you're going across country, and I'm saying to myself, "Ooh, I bet you UCLA, when they had those 1,000 seats in that 100,000 seat stadium at the Rose Bowl, you know what? I bet you can't wait for Rutgers to come flying in. Woo, there might be 2,000 people there, and that whole New York media. All this TV money makes no sense. You have West Virginia, 1.7 million people in the state, but you got Mountaineer Nation that is spread out, and those are loyal dogs, loyal people, loyal and let's say rabid, right, for the Mountaineers. And so there is a bigger pool. That's why you saw on ESPN on the Pitt game, first Pitt. It was the highest rated Pitt game in 4 or 5 years, or a Thursday night game, excuse me, because and there's a Pittsburgh, there's Mountaineers there. There's Mountaineers involved. And again, I'm not trying to say, hey, kudos to Mountaineers fans, because we've had our own issues. But Rutgers going to, that's why this media stuff is driving me crazy. This TV money, TV market, no one gives a poop about Rutgers. And they're in the Big Ten. And then you say, what about Maryland and D.C.? Woo! I mean, they can't even fill up Bird Stadium at 20,000.
That's Baltimore. Hold on. That's Baltimore. That has nothing to do with D.C.
Well, no. That's still D.C. We don't claim Bird Stadium.
Okay. Let me say this. Let me get the clarity. It's DMV, so it's Baltimore's in Maryland, but Baltimore don't claim nothing about D.C. and D.C. doesn't claim anything about Maryland. Baltimore is its own little separate area.
That's
Hey, Dale, as your advisor, I'm telling you, you probably stay away from Baltimore right now because Darryl's giving you some clear messages. So
It is right. He's right.
just as an advisor.
I appreciate that. I'll tell you this, though. Baltimore, man, they did the right thing in signing that quarterback. Woo. They almost let that cat go. That would have been a foolish thing. That's a different subject. But here we go. So let's check this out right now. Listen up.
One college football program in the last 25 to 30 years that went from a national power, and I mean vying for titles, big brand, TV, to irrelevant. Nebraska. Keep your eye on Oklahoma. Is Oklahoma going to be the second program in our adult lives that disappears? Number one, the state no longer produces big numbers of players. Of the Sooners' 26 signees in their recruiting class, 3 are from the state of Oklahoma. That's having to convince kids in the South, convince kids in Texas, come to us. Secondly, they joined a tougher conference. Like Nebraska, this is going to be harder. Most of those Southern kids have grown up on the SEC. Those football players want to stay with traditional SEC powers. And number 3, in an offensive era, they hired a defensive coach, and he was completely, utterly over his skis.
Ooh. Ouch. Well, the reason why I say ouch so loudly, I guess, there's a lot of truth in there. I see a lot of truth. I look at Colorado, who went to the Pac-12 and went to 2 bowl games in 12 years. I look at other schools like a Nebraska. Nebraska was a powerhouse, national championship after national championship. Coach, we know what Nebraska was like. We saw them play in the 1993, 94 in that New York Classic against the Mountaineers, 94. That was a powerhouse. Those were men among men, giants, right?
They were. And, you think of that, the tradition of their offensive line, the 70s, the 80s, and into the 90s. And a lot of those guys were the Cornhuskers themselves, right? And that's waning. And when the transfer to this new conference is only going to make things more challenging for them when you think about what that looks like in the future. So Nebraska, what was their strength is now gone because they're going everywhere else, quite honestly.
Big Ten was not good. DP, what about the SEC basketball? They're just starting to pick it up.
I think, it's in waves. Everything has been in waves. There's good teams in all different conferences all through the years, but since we've been in school. The SEC, they always had good football programs. So did West Virginia. So did Notre Dame. So did Michigan. So did Maryland. Had a couple a long time ago. So everybody has their little run. I think they overpopulate Alabama because Alabama do it one way. Everybody else trying to do. Like when Nebraska had Osborne, he did it one way. When he tried to do it another way, he tried to pass happy stuff. It didn't work for Nebraska. You know what I mean? It didn't work for them. But whatever Saban is doing down in Alabama, it's working for him. Everybody's either trying to copy or reinvent the wheel. You should football is football, basketball is basketball. So people try to reinvent it like it's something new. You know what I mean? It's not new, or you're trying to do something new. People play it new, people play it different, but it's not new. Sometimes you just got to stick to your guns and keep building programs. Yeah, Saban got guys leaving his school too. We just don't hear about it because they probably third or fourth string. Third and fourth string for them is probably starters for most of other people. So they just keep it moving. It's like a train, but they develop. You don't hear about them taking about a whole bunch of portal guys. It might be one. You might be taking it off another team to make the other team weaker. That's an old coach thing people do. Oh, I'll recruit him because I don't want to play against him, but I'm not going to play him. So it's like I wouldn't put into because all these teams switching conferences and this and that. Oklahoma's going to still be Oklahoma. They got a lot of oil money in Oklahoma. I know that. So I know they got enough NIL stuff to convince a guy to come from somewhere else. There's a guy that played with me in high school.
Okay.
Played at Oklahoma. So
let me throw this. Let me be your aggravator. Okay. Let me say this. Nebraska. Okay. The reason when they left to go to the Big Ten, they had direct recruiting lines to Texas, direct recruiting lines to Arizona because they were Big Eight. And that meant that back then, when there wasn't so much national TV as there is today, and that exposure, that meant that Nebraska, the families in Texas were going to be able to watch the players at Nebraska play. They had a direct line. They went to the Big Ten. They went out of that whole Big Eight area, north and south, from Nebraska down to Texas, that whole line down there. Okay, they went out of there. And that's what I was saying about Colorado. They went Pac-12. They went Pac-12, and what did they do? They didn't belong in the Pac-12. That wasn't their ground feeders. So when you think about it, what I'm saying is I hear you about Oklahoma. I think you have to watch it. Frank, what do you say?
I agree. I think and I was just going to look up to see where the recruits are coming in 2024 for Nebraska. I didn't pull it up. But I think you're right. I mean, and also if you look at the teams that have left conference.
Oh, he's right. Darryl or me?
No, you're right. Oh. I think you're right, Wolf. I mean, not that Darryl's wrong.
Darryl, you're wrong.
No, it's let's put it this way. I am now an administrator at the University of Oklahoma. Would I be worried? Damn right, I'd be worried. I'd look at Nebraska and I would raise the same question. What can we do not to become the next Nebraska? Because look, Missouri went to the SEC. When's the last time you heard about Missouri? Arkansas, Texas A&M. Those teams have had a tough go, consistently a tough go. Look, and Texas A&M is spending a ton of money. How much money did they have to give Jimbo to come? And they still can't win consistently. So the bottom line is Oklahoma, because of the shifting sands, the way you're describing it, Wolf, Oklahoma has to be very careful at this point, very careful. And as for Nebraska, oh my God, and that's pretty much a one major sport school. You never hear of Nebraska basketball. So I don't know, the Big Ten, did they make a mistake by inviting Nebraska? But it just hasn't panned out.
Yeah, well, I know this. Going into January to Nebraska to play basketball.
Who wants to live in Nebraska?
Wait, now you're going to get me in trouble.
I didn't know they had an airport.
All right.
It's tough.
Hey, it's
being an outlier. They're an outlier now of the SEC. When you look at the SEC and you talk about, okay, not even the traditional routes, but the Oklahoma is out there. I mean, that's got to be the most west, right? Am I wrong? Is there anything? I mean, the A&M's more east of Oklahoma. So when Texas is east of Oklahoma. I mean, they're the last one out. I mean, is Darryl right, though? And I'm serious with all the money and success that they've had, because, winning at the Palace on the Prairie has been extremely difficult for any team going there. Can they maintain that superiority when they're that far outlier of SEC?
I believe so. It's about the culture that the coaching staff in all the sports, right, where you want to excel. It's that culture that you bring, but then you got to stick to it, right? It's not like, oh gosh, wait, everybody's passing, so I guess I got to pass more. Well, or everybody's playing a big man underneath. Oh, we got to play a big man anymore. What am I good at coaching, and what do I want my team's culture to be? And I'm going to build around it. And guess what? If that lineman is in Arizona or in Buffalo, New York, or if that wide receiver is in Florida or wherever, I got to go find them to bring them into what's going to make them great. Right? Too often we're seeing that the instability, number one, in coaches or maybe in some of their philosophies, is creating more problems. Somebody, Darrow, you mentioned Alabama. Some people are leaving there, but guess what? Every day you show up, Saban's telling you the exact same thing every day, every practice, every rep, every film click, right? When that red dot's on you, he's telling you the exact same thing. And all those philosophies stick. And he's had, assistant coaches, assistant head coaches, D coordinators, they've left. But guess what? The next year, Alabama looks pretty much exactly the same. And when you think of the great traditional powers that have maintained, they've stuck with their coaching philosophy because it's what they're good at. When you want to change, guess what? It takes you 2, 3, 4, 5 years to evolve that change into this culture. And oh, by the way, I was never really good at that type of offense or defense anyways, so I'm going to struggle. So I got to go find other coaches to help me. And that's what's happening with some teams everywhere. And Nebraska lost their identity. Nebraska lost their identity. Oklahoma, I'll go to Oklahoma. Right. Coach Stoops had, from Switzer to Stoops, that culture remained pretty much the same. They started passing a lot more, but so did the game evolve. But you can see that evolve with the Stoopses, with Bob as a head coach and Mike on defense. But their defense was always good, and they stuck with that philosophy.
That's so right, Coach. But like I said, as Neil Brown, you had years when you had Shane Lyons saying, "Well, he's a head coach; he doesn't need to call the plays," or saying this and that. Coach is leaving. So again, what Neil Brown's problems have been at WVU is not even a turnover in players, but there's been 4 wide receiver coaches in the last 4 years.
Yeah,
I mean that's a problem.
It goes back to when I was at Georgetown. I got passed over the first time. We went to the Final Four, and you bring in 2 outside people over the 2 people that was in front that was already there. So I ended up going to Morgan State. You have a down year. They don't know the offense, so we as coaches got to teach the other coaches the offense, how we like to do things. They want to do things different. I come back to Georgetown, and I'm observing practices. I'm observing what's going on, watching tape, and I'm like, Coach John Thompson, they don't know the plays. They don't have a feel for the plays. They just shoot the ball. So we go to practice. We used to do dummy offense for an hour on 2 separate ends. The starters would 6 and 7 man down on one end, and everybody else learning it on the other end. Now we're doing it for 30 minutes, everybody on one end. I'm like, they don't know the offense. I said, they don't have the field. It's different. You change. And when he changed, look what happens. You bring other people in. He's not coaching no more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's how fast it goes. You know what I mean? For football, I'm sure it's the same thing. So if you're not promoting guys within your coaching staff, and they feel you bringing other people in, they're gonna feel some kind of way. They're gonna go somewhere else, but they're gonna feel appreciated.
Well, you know what? That's what Bob Pruitt always said. And when he had him on last Monday, he said he always promoted within his coaching staff because there was the same thing: stability, teaching the same thing. And that's a great point you just brought up there. Coke, I say you did. You got anything you want to add to this? I see you out there click. I can hear you. Click it.
Well, I'm still kind of trying to work a little bit here.
Oh, yeah.
Are you standing
Oh,
up? Are you standing up, Coach?
I'm standing up. Yeah.
You standing up the whole time?
The whole time.
All right, gentlemen. Hawkeye, you got anything else you want to add to this before I throw you out of here?
Nah, man, I enjoyed it, guys. It was great. I'll leave you with this. I wonder if it's less about competition and more about money.
Very good. And let me add this. All right, Z-Girl had to go back in and get Keith's daughter, Zyler Hawkins, had to go back in and get an operation. She's doing good, right, Keith? So we just say, hey, Zyler's strong, baby, right here. Huh?
Zyler's strong.
Yep, she's doing great, guys. Doing great.
Good. All right, brother. Well, listen, thank you so much. Frank, anything else you want to add?
Well, a great conversation. I just wanted to add a footnote on recruiting, and we're speculating, but I just looked. Oklahoma has twice as many 4-stars coming in next year than they have 3-stars. Nebraska has twice as many 3-stars coming in next year compared to 4-stars. Even with a new coach bringing a lot of excitement, Matt Rule at Nebraska. So, and I think Hawkeye's right. Oklahoma, they're going for the money, and let's do our best to be competitive. And it's going to be a tougher climb for them in the SEC.
Well, we know one thing for sure. We have an adult in the room in basketball. His name's James Dickey. We're good. We're all good. All right, guys, I got to go, man. Thank God. God bless you, Coke. Thanks so much. I know you're working, man, so we appreciate you dropping in your Frank Fear Hour. Hawkeyes, Keith Hawkins, yeah, man. Z-Girl, Go Girl, and, of course, DP, our WVU Hoops Hall of Fame, man.
It's good to see you, Coach.
And
Great seeing you, too.
And the second
You play basketball now with us.
Right on, guys. We'll see you later. Take care now.
See y'all. Take care.
Later.
And good. Well, thanks so much. And again, I do have the final button to knock everybody off, and it feels good, especially when you get rid of Hawkeye there. Like, get out of here. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Excellent. Well, I promised you a little bit of Lee Koba. We're going to have to go back because we've gone so long that I got to go ahead and go back to Abby here, get it going in for Parmar Stores. We got to thank Parmar Stores. We have a new big sponsor coming on the way. Really excited. I want to tell you about that. Our WolfMan's Call network is huge. But first, Parmar Stores, Abby Person, WVU Gymnastics, Parmar, and WVU NIL.
Hi, I'm Abby Pearson from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and when I'm back home, you will find me at my local Parmar store.
We have that gold and blue pride at your local Parmar store. We are coming to your neighborhood soon. West Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Maryland, we have you covered. Download the Parmar app and sign up for the Parmar Rewards Card. Food, gas, groceries, and more, we are gold and blue proud, and we are Parmar Stores.
If there's not a Parmar store near you now, there will be soon.
All right. Well, I'm looking over here at Connor Johnson. Connor, I'm sorry, I didn't see you putting all that up there, buddy. So the end here is I'm going to go ahead and see if you want to come on here. What you got? Connor Johnson, you want to come on? Anybody? I'll give you the link here. If not, I'm going to go ahead. I didn't even see all that when I blow up the screen. I don't even see it. So sorry about that, but next time we'll have to get you. And I'll come out here. I'll throw out this link out here. Well, I'll get to this breakdown of Lee Koba. And let's see what we can do here. I'm going to put that out first. All right. I'll tell you, I thought that was some really good discussions we had the Big Ten rumors. They might not be rumors. I mean, Frank is right. You have some big-time outlets reporting it. Arizona to the Big 12. I'm personally a big fan of Colorado coming to the Big 12. I'm a big fan of let me say this. I'm not a big fan. If the Pac-12 is going to go, I'm a big fan of bringing like Washington and Oregon in. so that there's a USC, UCLA, so you can have somewhat semblance of the Pac-12, and they don't get lost, because these schools, I think some of them are going to get lost with what's happening there. So, again, if anybody wants to come online here, come online, and I'll check it out, see what you got, and let me see if I go into right here. This is up. Okay. Oh, all right. Well, anyone else that wants to go ahead and finish? We've gone an hour and 25 minutes and counting. This is getting longer. Now, I said I'd be going from 4 possibly to 6-ish during the season. You know, tomorrow is August. We have Bob Lilly coming on tomorrow, the presenter for Chuck Hawley. That's a big deal, and we really don't have time to get started in League Coba. So tomorrow we're going to have Bob Lilly. Going to have Ken Marchio is going to come on. He's from Colorado. That's Nico Marchio's father. They have a business. They're all their families from that area of Colorado. So he'll tell us what those people up there are talking about. And I think that we have one there. All right, Kenny, I'm going to put you on here, buddy. What you got for me here? Go ahead, Kenny.
Hey,
Kenny, the no shirt guy.
I'm sorry. I got a West Virginia shirt here. It's just hot where I live at. And
it's all right. Go ahead, brother.
I've been hearing, because Oregon State had meetings before Colorado did, and I'm hearing that Oregon might be helping Oregon State to come in with them to the Big 12. That's what I'm hearing.
Wait a minute. Oregon is helping Oregon State?
Yeah.
What do you think of that, Ken? You think that's a good idea? Let me ask you something. There's Oregon State, Corvallis, okay? Now, if you look at it, it's about an hour ride away from Eugene. Eugene's more towards the coast out there in Oregon. Then you got to go an hour ride. Oregon State is about 45,000 people in the stadium. I've heard people say Oregon State. I really don't give a hoot about Oregon State joining the Big 12. That doesn't add anything for me. All right. I know some people like it. Not going to. Hey, if you like Oregon State, that's great. But it's not going to get me all fired up to join the Big 12 like an Oregon would, or a Washington would, or even a Colorado does, or even a University of Arizona does. Okay, but not Oregon State. I don't think that they bring as much as people think. I'd rather have the number 1 school in the state. That's like Washington State. Why would you want a Washington State and not have Washington there? That's the number 1 school in the state. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. I mean, if we're going to go up, Colorado is the number 1 school in the state. Colorado State is not. Right? I mean, you got Arizona. I mean, Arizona is so darn good academically. Arizona State's one of the largest schools by proxy of all the satellites that they have, but it's still a school that's not really considered like an Arizona for academic-wise, and the basketball program is outstanding. You can't go to Arizona State and say that's outstanding in basketball. You can't say that's outstanding in football. In fact, Arizona has had a time when they have been outstanding in football, but they've been longevity-wise for 30 years in basketball.
The only reason I'm saying this is, because I've been hearing it, is because that Washington, possibly Arizona State, Clemson, maybe UNC is possible going to the Big Ten.
Well, you said USC is going to the Big Ten, right? You're saying Florida State, Clemson, and then Oregon, Washington are going to the Big Ten, right? That's what you're saying. Yeah. How is that going to help the Big 12, though, if Oregon? How is that going to help with Oregon State going to the Big 12? Or how is Oregon going to help Oregon State go to the Big 12?
Just as like a traveling partner where they're not stuck out on the island if Washington doesn't come with them.
Oh, Washington. You're saying that they want Oregon State to go to the Big 10?
Yeah.
Or you're saying that, I don't think that's going to happen, man. Hey, listen, you can say, Wolf, you're full of it. I mean, that's okay. That doesn't upset me, but I don't see that happening. You think that's going to happen?
That's what I'm hearing. I mean, that's just, what I'm hearing around some of my people that I talk with and things. That's all.
Yeah, well, I mean, hey, if they're right, then more power to them. But I don't see that going down. If anything, I see it's going to be your Washington, it's going to be your Oregon, and
I'm not saying it's 100%, clad. I'm not saying nowhere near it. I'm saying it's probably 40, 60.
Well, I think it's going to be true. We're going to get Florida State and Clemson and the two out there in the coast. Oregon. Now, I got a friend. His name is Pat Biondo, and he used to be the assistant at women's basketball. And Patty, so then he went down there to Texas A&M, and he was there for Jimbo Fisher before going out there to the Oregon. So now he's like the director of ops, and he's a good friend of mine. And I'm like, oh, I'm just going to text Patty. And his name is Pat. I call him Patty, but that's just me. But I said, hey, Patty, what's going on, man? And he's like, hey, Wolfman, how you doing? I said, hey, what's happening with Oregon? Are you guys got to go Big 10? Are you going to go Big 12? Or are you going to wait it out with the Pac-12? And he started communicating with me. So, again, this is a buddy of mine. So this is the way buddies treat buddies. But I think what it is something's going down, and there's going to be some moves made. I think it's going to happen in the very near future. I don't have my crystal ball, so I could be as right, or I could be as wrong. I don't see where Oregon State brings any value to the Big 12 or Big 10, any of them. I really don't. But that's just me. Anything else, Kenny?
Yes, and I want to give a shout out to WVU for bringing in Curtis Jones Jr. I think that was a great pick for our state, and I've seen some videos on him, and he really looks good.
Now, where's he from, Kenny? You know, what school?
I think he's from Canal Valley.
We got film on him.
I've seen it online, through YouTube.
I'll tell you what I do. I'll go ahead this week, and if not this week, next week. But we'll go ahead. We'll break it down. We'll see what he's got. I got to first get through his Lee Koba there, but I can't remember what I did with this film. So we're gonna have to probably go tomorrow.
He played at Middle Cabell.
Okay. All right. So he's down. That would be in Huntington, out of the Huntington area right there, and they've had some good players come out of there. That's for sure. So. But he's not rated right now. You know why he's not rated?
It's probably because not that much attention in that area.
Well, always getting the shaft, huh? All right. Kenny, what else you got there? All right, Curtis Jones, welcome to WVU Young Blood.
Yep. And I just think Neil Brown has just been on fire with recruiting as far as receivers and things, because we just landed a big speedster for receiving, and I'm stoked about that.
Who?
He was in the fall camp.
Is he 24?
I think so.
He's 24 and he just got receivers. Okay, well, again, we got to say what? So the problem with Neil is not recruiting high school, right? Not recruiting high school. It's about that retention. And that. So, again, is if he can get by, and I'm going to tell people this, Kenny, and again, I'm going to say this flat and straight out as I can. And people get upset with me, and I don't know why, because I don't root against anybody. I'm not for any West Virginia Mountaineer to not be successful. Because if Garrett Green is named the starter, I'm going to root for Garrett Green to be successful. But Garrett Green has limitations. He's a one-trick pony. I showed it. I broke it down. I showed everybody exactly what I'm talking about so I could see on film. He needs to improve in the pocket. His pocket, right. And that's what he does. If his first choice isn't there, what does he do? He has to run outside, right? That's the thing, because right. he wants to run, number one, and he can be effective. But again, when a defensive coordinator comes in and sees that this guy this is his best things he does, what are we going to do? We're going to shut that down, because when you're a one-trick pony, you can shut one thing down. You can shut the option down. You can do that. You can bait, okay? Again, if he's the guy, I want him to win, all right? But when I'm sitting there, we got a 4-star. How many 4-star quarterbacks has WVU brought in? When's the last time they had a 4-star quarterback? Will Greer. What did Will Greer do? Okay. What does Nico Marchio offer? Now, why do I get excited?
A lot. I've watched his game when he played for his state championship, and that was impressive.
We are that Bishop Gorman, right? Wasn't it the one where national TV? He brought the team back in a ridiculous comeback, right?
Yes, and he even vomited on the field. I mean,
right. But that's the guy that you want. What did he do against Oklahoma State?
He lit him up.
What he had to do. Now, I'm not, hey, listen, Jalen Anderson had a career rushing day. Okay. But at the same time, I'm going to show you the defense of Oklahoma State game this week. I'm going to break that down along with Lee Koba. I'm going to show you where Oklahoma State was incredibly deficient. One of the worst coach games I've ever seen by a Gundy, a coach team. Gundy's a good coach. He's a very successful coach. That game was not good. But regardless, as I would say, Nico, what he has, his potential, is he as good as Garrett Green right now? I think they're both pretty even because I think that's why Neil Brown's calling it even. I'd say they're even. But what's the biggest?
We go to a two-back set with that.
But why? Let me ask you this. Now, if I'm GJ, I'm like this. Hey, yo, man, if you could make $1 million in the NFL at slot, why would you not want to do that? As a slot, because you're not going to make $1 million in the NFL at quarterback. I'm sorry, they don't have 5'10" and a half quarterbacks in the NFL unless you're Drew Brees, which is a 5'11", and that's once every 30 years. Okay? Or Doug Flutie. That's once every 30 years. Okay? What I'm saying to you is you got a guy that you have to develop. If I'm Neil Brown, I'm on a hot seat, I'm at least going to go to my AD and say, listen, you got to give me some time with this quarterback to work him out. Because this kid's got a huge potential. I don't think that people understand how big of potential that Nico Marchio has.
He's got a huge ceiling. He's got a huge ceiling, especially if the game slows down for him.
When I show you this Oklahoma State game this week, you're going to see Rangel, their quarterback. He's a freshman at Oklahoma State. Like I said, I hope that cat plays for the next 4 years for Oklahoma State because West Virginia will win because that cat can't move. Number one, he can't run. He's standing still, and his accuracy and his arm strength is not what it is of Nico Marchio. Nico Marchio. And if people don't understand this, there's still a lot of teams that would pay big money for Nico to go NIL out there. And I'm not encouraging that at all by any means. But that's what I'm saying is that West Virginia fans need to understand what they got something in Nico Marchio. They got something in Nico Marchio that's going to be special. Now, he's just a young pup. He's a young pup. He's going to make mistakes. And if he plays, he's going to make mistakes going down the road. It's got to happen. You can't get good until you make mistakes and you learn from your mistakes. But again, you can do that as a freshman. This Drew Allard for Penn State is a 5-star quarterback, but he's a youngin'. Okay, and he's going to make mistakes, and that's what I'm hoping for in this Penn State WVU game, is that Drew Allard, his first game, is going to make some bad decisions, despite the fact of him being a 5-star quarterback and being the next coming of one of their great quarterbacks. That's what I'm saying. So I'm hoping for that. Again, if Garrett Green gets a call from Neil Brown, that means that Garrett Green had a better camp than Nico Marchio. Okay,
I'm still holding reserve. I'm still holding reserve on who starts on quarterback. I'm leaning more towards Nico myself.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I'm not at camp, so I can't say that. But I will say this: the upside for Nico Marchio is tremendous. But he's got to go through some learning difficulties as well, because that's the challenges of what you go through. But when you look at Major Harris, okay, redshirt freshman, I was on a team. Kevin Koch, who was just here, was on that team. Koch was snapping the Major. 1987, he went 6-6. Major, at the beginning of the year, boy, he struggled. Man, did he struggle. Then he went 6-6. The next year he comes back, we go 11-0. Okay, the next year, he's at the Heisman 2 years in a row at the ceremonies, right? He's in the top 5 in there. Again, is you need time to go ahead and get your game together. What I saw against Oklahoma State as a freshman was him standing in the pocket, 3 seconds, release. 3 seconds, release. He's 6'1", he's 225 right now, 225 pounds. He can run. And I'm saying is, if you get Garrett Green and you want to go mix and match and take some pressure off Nico, that's cool. That's cool. But you got to make sure that you're doing what you need to do, because it's Neil Brown, it's your job. And what anyone else tells you, it doesn't matter. Because I want to see what you say, you do it, you make the call. Now you don't have Shane Lyons saying, well, Neil Brown doesn't need to make the calls. Neil Brown saying, you know what, I'm going to call the plays because this is my year. If I'm going to get canned, I'm going to get canned my way. And that's what I like about Neil Brown. And I like the fire that he's got there. And it's about time. Because when Neil Brown, in my opinion, came in here, he was not in that way. He was tough. He was at Troy. He was tough. I think the administration took him. I think they did some things to him. You got your Kelly Zinn, you got your Shane Lyons. And I think that they handcuffed him a little bit. And I think that he went ahead and put too much power to the players, because I don't think you give them a committee saying this and that and this and that. What time do you want to practice at? No, Nick Saban doesn't ask you what time you want to practice at. He doesn't say that. He says this is the time you practice. And I think that that's what's going on more with Neil Brown. And I think I like him calling his own plays and saying, you know what, if I go down, I'm going down my own way. And if he stays down, he stays afloat, I would sit there and say, listen, what's my best chance to win this game? Is it starting out with Garrett Green and eventually moving a Nico in there? Is it starting out with a Nico? I don't know. Again, in camp, I'm going to give kudos to Neil Brown for this. C.J. Donaldson last year, no one knew heading in to summer camp that he was going to be special at a running back spot. We all thought, at least I did, maybe you did, I don't know. I thought he was a tight end, didn't know anything until he started bringing him up in press conferences and saying that he was doing this and that. And then all of a sudden, Pitt game, boom, he jumps out in the world, right? Well, again, Neil Brown, kudos to him for bringing CJ in without putting pressure on him, without having all this pressure on his back and saying, you got to perform. No, we had a Tony Mathis. We had a JJ Justin Johnson. We had Jalen Anderson, even though he was only 14. But CJ came in, and then he had that big explosion, and he did all those good things. And now he is where he is for that reason. Again, he didn't have a lot of pressure put on him, and I thought Neil handled the right way. Maybe he's handling it this way. Again, if Garrett Green is the starter, I'm going to be behind him. But Garrett Green is limited to what Nico Marchio could do. Okay?
Right. See, I've also noticed, too, and I'm impressed with the young man with his presence in the pocket and doing these checkdowns, but also him – when he feels the heat, he's not scared to run, but he's accurate with his throw on the run as well. I mean,
let me just say, from the Oklahoma State game, did you notice the balls were left in front of the receivers and not behind?
Right.
And a cold, rainy day that was miserable. That those balls that he went deep, they were in front of him. They were a split second off, but they were left in front. And that means he's got a cannon. And when I've watched Jared Dickey, how many times did the receiver have to wait for a ball?
A lot,
right? Well, how many years we see that? We see that last year, right?
No.
Okay, we didn't see JT Daniels putting the ball out in front for the long verticals. You saw the receiver having to go up 50-50 in, right? With the DB on the back. Well, Nico Marchio can go. If you got speed to beat a defender, Nico Marchio can hit you that long ball that Garrett Green cannot, in my opinion.
Yeah, I've seen that myself.
Yep.
Yeah, he's got that cannon.
All right. Kenny, anything else? Because I just went off on a sidetrack. Tomorrow, folks, we got definitely Lee Koba. Anything else, brother?
That's good. Thank you.
You good? All right, man. Well, you have a great day. I'm sure I'll see you soon. And hopefully next
Mountaineer Nation, let's go Mountaineers.
All right. Kenny Z, good job, brother. Thank you so much. Have a great day. See ya.
You too.
So that's what I like. Mountaineer Nation, join the conversation. Yeah. Yeehaw. All right. Well, let's finish up here, folks. Tomorrow, I promise you, Lee Koba and the Mountaineer defense against Oklahoma State. We'll break it down. We'll show you man free. We'll show you some defensive secondary coverages. How about some two robber, right? Cover two high, the robber down the middle, man. If that doesn't get you fired up about breaking down stuff and learning about football, I don't know what was, or will, I should say, what will about this. And again, let's go ahead and head out with this right here, I want to go over my network here with the restaurants because it is so big, so big. So let's go ahead and let's hit this out. Yeah, that's not what I wanted right there. There we go. We're good. And we'll blow that up right there. Good job. So Archies, Pittsburgh, East Carson Street. Excellent. Love it. Jim Manning, thank you for being part of the WolfMan's Call Network. Rob Davis, Brickside Bar and Grill. Eat local. Jimbo's Place in Elkins. Got something special happening next Monday at Jimbo's Place. Not in Elkins, the one in Buchanan. Grand opening day. And the WolfMan's Call with the brand new sponsor. Oh, it's going to be good. How about Kegler's in Morgantown, huh? How about that? Jerry the Wren's. Dougie. What's up, Dougie? And you got Legends. Aaron Gizzy there. Legends Sports Bar and Grill. Hit those links out there at the golf course at Lakeview. And Steve Reese, who's got the Mason Jar Saloon and Hotspot in Morgantown. Unbelievable barbecue food and the Mason Jar barbecue and more. They have smoked meatloaf. Have you ever heard smoked meatloaf? Oh, I love it. And of course, in Morgantown, you have Mel's at the Mountaineer Tap House. Got to dig it, man. All the catering out that they do, all the tap beers they have. And down there, you got to head down to Teays Valley, the Pallet, and they have 24 tap beers themselves out there. And they got great servers and great people and possible big news coming out of the Pallet bar right there at Teays Valley, coming down to see you. And you got Cantrells, River City Grill and Pub, the newest member down in Hinton, West Virginia. Can't wait to visit there. And, of course, Route 22. Wow. Is that just a cool place? It looks awesome. 12 50-inch screen TVs right there in Weirton, West Virginia, right before you go out to the old Starlight Theater. So all that there, excellent. Good job with the WolfMan's Call Network. If you want to join, all you got to do is go to wolfmanscall@gmail.com. wolfmanscall@gmail.com, and you can join the network and all the cool things that we're doing. All right, well, I got to try this here. Connor, are you there? Hello?
Yeah, hey. I don't know why my video camera's not working.
I don't know if I can hear you well. What's up, man?
That's all right. Oh, yeah, I was just wondering if you could, real quick, I snuck away. If it were something like a Washington to the Big Ten, but Oregon got denied by the Big Ten, and Phil Knight, because of his ties to Oregon State as well, kind of approached your mark and was like, look, it's both of us or none of us type of deal. I think that's really our only route in, because while I disagree that, we don't bring anything, I think it's definitely an uphill climb for the Beavers. If this all goes down, we're probably going to be left out. And to be honest, I think we're the most Big 12 school left in the Pac-12, us and Wazoo.
Well, you're thinking, okay, I'm thinking about this now. So you're saying that if Phil Knight said, hey, we're not leaving Oregon State. Okay, so we're bringing.
Yeah, his wife went there. Sorry to interrupt. Just more background. His wife went there. We just rebuilt our stadium, $160 million. There was a $50 million anonymous donation that a lot of people think was Phil Knight. Phil Knight's also the reason why our baseball program ascended to become like a national brand.
Right.
So that is something we could bring to the table. Perhaps your mark could see value in getting revenue to baseball. That could be an innovative kind of idea that we would bring with us. So sorry for interrupting again.
Go for it. No, man. You just intrigued me with Phil Knight. Anytime you say Phil Knight, and that's kind of like a Deion Sanders like type guy, like probably bigger than Deion Sanders because he actually does have all the money. With Phil Knight. So you're saying if Phil Knight said Oregon will come to the Big 12, but you got to take Oregon State, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, in that case, would you then, and then let's say Arizona is the other one.
Can I take them? Yeah, absolutely. No doubt. If you already got to go out there to Oregon to play Oregon, and Oregon State would be fine as well. My thing is this.
Exactly. The benefit there is our airport. We're only 40 miles apart, but we fly out of the Eugene airport. So we would fly in and out with the Oregon. And then let's say you're bringing two basketball schools to come out and play. You would play one on Wednesday and then the other on Saturday, and just kind of keep. You got two schools coming this way. We're right next to each other. So that cuts down on some of the travel, even though we're so far away from West Virginia, obviously. But that kind of is null and void with what the Big Ten did.
Well, you got to hope. You got to hope that they have two divisions, right? So that the West plays more of the West and the East plays more of the East with some cross conferences going.
Yeah, I just think to touch on the whole thing, I said that we were the most Big 12 type of school. Like this whole time, I've been trying to be loyal to the Pac. But like if we're being honest, we academically don't really. I mean, we are a good school, but we're a land grant. We're an agriculture school, which I know a lot of the Big 12 is as well. We have like diehard. I know you said our stadium. We actually just downgraded, so we went from like 45 to 40,000. We didn't downgrade, but because we restructured our stadium and because the trends are heading towards like premium seating,
right?
Less people are going.
We did
to the games.
We did the same thing. I totally get it.
So I mean, we're not the biggest, but we get loud. We travel for baseball. We have basketball history, not current, but like if you look at the Orange Express from back in the day with Gary Payton. Recently, we went to the Elite Eight in 2021. So like there is an upside if we have the right coach for basketball here. But we're mainly bringing. I mean, our football program right now is arguably one of the best in the Pac-12. Just the trajectory that Jonathan Smith, if he can keep these coaches together, but the only way we can do that is with Power 5 money. You could sneakily see the Beavers be competitive in a national landscape type of way the next few years.
Well, that's interesting, and you definitely intrigued me, and you made me rethink about what I said. What I was talking about is that Oregon would get me excited. Oregon State did not, because I believe
that's fair.
If you're going to have a school come into the Big 12, it should be the number one school in the state.
That's fair. That's why I'm just trying to piggyback, find a way. And I think Phil's probably doing that too behind the scenes. But again, we have a national baseball brand, but outside of that, we're not really a national brand. No, you're right. That's Oregon all the way.
Yeah, where do you come from?
So right now I'm in Albany, Oregon, which is 20 minutes from Oregon State. I just graduated from Oregon State, but I come from the southeast, actually.
Oh, great. Well, hey, I'm glad that you're here and coming and jumping on. I like to have this conversation a little bit longer here in the future. So I'll get in touch with you, man. But that's good to know. I didn't know that Phil was going to be involved in Oregon State the way he is, but doggone it, he should be after all he's given Oregon, right?
Yeah, I mean, and Penny Knight, his wife, is a Beaver alum, and he's always looked out for Oregon State in a lesser extent. Stanford as well. He gives a lot of money to because he went to that business school. But yeah, Uncle. That's why we call him Uncle Phil.
Yeah, well, I would too if he took care of us that way. All right. Well, listen, that's very good, Connor. I appreciate it. And maybe listen. I'll tell you what. If Oregon State comes into the Big 12, I'd take it.
Hey, there we go. Well, I like listening to all you guys. Like I said in the chat, the West Virginia fan, everyone I've met has been like humble, down to earth. But like as far as college football and realignment goes, like I've been kind of spot on. Like if you go back and look through rest in peace GBD's videos, like you could see how a lot of these scenarios could play out to fruition, and he kind of tried to nail them all, which was pretty cool. And Koo's a cool guy. I've given him crap when I was back in my back the Pac days. That was when I thought the Pac-12 could survive.
I don't think it's going to survive, Connor. I don't think.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think so.
And that's why I want Oregon State to act on our own.
Yeah, no, I think you should, and I don't see. We're losing. Let's be honest. We're losing Texas, Oklahoma, two premier in the Big 12. Now we did replace with 4, but I'm not crazy. I've said before, those schools besides BYU, I think BYU is a legitimate Power 5 school. Okay, but when you look at Cincinnati, UCF, and Houston, they don't really get me all fired up. I know people like Cincinnati because West Virginia is location, and I know UCF is growing to be tremendously huge, and it's got that huge base down there. But again, Houston is just another school in Texas when you think about Baylor, TCU.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Texas Tech. And so, again, that doesn't do much for me. But I will say this, is that Colorado – I get fired up.
Oh, it was huge for y'all with where Prime is right now. I was telling, so I do Mark's weekly Pac-12 show. I hop on their panel from time to time, and I've been one of the only proponents to be like, "Yo, slow down. Colorado probably isn't going to win just 2 or 3 games. This team could be a bowl-eligible team. There's a route. It's tough just with how loaded the Pac-12 is this year, but for future years, yeah, I mean, the eyeballs he brings in alone are ridiculous. So no, I mean, good on y'all for getting Colorado back. And like I was telling on the Pac-12 show, on Mark's Pac-12 show, they are they're a Big 12 school, first. They were only in the Pac for 10 years. So we can't be all that pissed at them for making the decision that kind of needed to be done just because we've been sitting. I wish we would have just gone all in with Apple from the beginning. That was the only place where we were going to get real money from.
Yeah.
But we fumbled that, and Colorado going home is kind of cool for y'all. Very cool for y'all. It hurts us. But
number one is this. I would say is the Pac-12 has been reactive instead of proactive.
Yeah,
they've suffered for that. So what they need is leadership. Whoever is going to try to keep this together. SMU, San Diego State is not going to keep it together after the possibility of 4 defections of what I would say the stability of the Pac-12.
I think the only chance of surviving is going to be you can only lose one more. You could only lose Arizona. So let's go ahead and say Arizona leaves. Mm-hmm. The only route after that is all in with streaming, whatever Apple is going to give you after all these schools leave. And then you call up the Cal and Stanford presidents, everybody else in the Pac who likes athletics, and you say, y'all need to drop this academic snobbery or else we're all going to die and not have athletic programs. And you get them to sign on board for Fresno and Boise. And then, you can already convince them SDSU and SMU, who you mentioned with academics. But then for the 5th school, I think you got to go with Tulane. And then after that, to replace Denver, if you want to get to 14 with the 6th school, then would be Colorado State. And like you were saying with the 4 you added, it doesn't excite you. Outside BYU, which I agree. I know that doesn't excite some people, but with New Orleans, Dallas, San Diego, those markets, with Boise and Fresno, the rivalry they have in place with Boise's history, you just got to get over the academic snobbery hurdle, and you have to have the loudest athletic-minded presidents in the room doing it, like Utah's president. But I don't know. I mean, that's kind of like long shot odds. At this point, I would rather see Oregon State try to hitch a ride, like I was saying, to get to the Big 12. But there's still a chance.
There's still a chance, and I think there's a lot of chances because I just think it's going to be the most proactive teams to get there. I really do. I think you got to be proactive. You got to be ready to jump, and you got to have your T's crossed, your I's dotted. I think it's when teams are prepared to move will be the ones that are ready to move the fastest, which would be the easiest acceptance. And
to talk on the point I think Kenny brought up, the day that all that went down, Oregon State was the first to call an emergency board meeting the night before Oregon and Arizona did. And so I like our administration. I think they recognize the value of athletics. They got ahead of it. I don't know, what, like Rick George and Scott Barnes, our athletic director, had a good relationship. I'm not saying any conspiracy there, but I just think that Scott Barnes, I think, read the room and kind of got ahead of it first. And I think Brett Yormark is one to give credence to, hey, look, Oregon State was the first to kind of ask in. I know that doesn't help our brand out or what we bring to the table. But,
no, we're just saying that from the West Virginia side, man. That's not from West Coast side. That's, you got to remember everything I'm saying here is coming from the East Coast, East Mississippi. So,
yeah.
You know what I mean? So again, that's all right. Very good. Connor, listen, I got to roll, man.
Yeah, I'll let you go. My bad.
No, not at all. But you can come back on. You can be a guest anytime. All right. I appreciate your input.
Sweet. Hey, thanks, Wolfman. I'll find you on Twitter. Where are you at?
At Wolfley64.
Cool. Sounds good. Thanks again.
Yeah, brother. Take care now. Yeah, that was cool. I tell you what, dudes in Oregon. Yeah, I'm digging that. All right. Well, listen, Connor, we're going to have you on. Yeah, find me on Twitter. We'll talk. It's good to have someone with knowledge out on the West Coast. And tomorrow we're going to have someone from Colorado, Ken Markio, I believe, is going to come on. We'll see. Not as positive about that, but he's got his whole family's from out there, and they're big Colorado buffs there for a minute, for more than a minute, I should say, for a long time. And again, we have Bob Lilly coming on tomorrow, the presenter for Chuck Hawley in the Hall of Fame. Well, it's 2 hours, folks, 5:59. We came out at 4 o'clock. Man, I'm just having fun. Sometimes I don't want to get off. Sometimes it's good when I do. So, with that being said, Parmar Stores, thank you. Hey, next Monday, Jimbo's place, Buchanan, Watch out, Buchanan, because we got a surprise coming for you, and with another big sponsor. Yeah, man, the WolfMan's Call. We'll see you tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Mr. Cowboy, Bob Lilly.
Hi, I'm Traylon Davis. I'm from Jackson, Ohio, and when I'm back home, you will find me at my local Parmar store.
We have that gold and blue pride at your local Parmar store. We are coming to your neighborhood soon. West Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Maryland, we have you covered. Download the Parmar app and sign up for the Parmar Rewards Card. Food, gas, groceries, and more, we are gold and blue proud, and we are Parmar stores.
If there's not a Parmar store near you now, there will be soon.
Stationers, #1 office supplier in West Virginia. Always in stock. All many, the anywhere, anytime chargers, powering a connected world. Never buy AA batteries again. Rechargeable 500 times plus. Paul Mini AA USB lithium battery, as easy to charge as your cell phone. Sustainable energy. Stay charged. Go green, save green. Feel the power of Paul. Order now at paulmini.com.